You know, I've been long enough in the political life to look, to put aside, you know, the periodic ebb and flow of emotion, and to look at the substantive positions that leaders and allies have done. And I respect what was done, and I appreciate it. So I don't particularly care for that. I mean, I don't care about it, is the way I would say it.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your time today. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thank you.
And I'm joined now by Josh Rogin, foreign policy columnist for The Washington Post. A lot of fascinating stuff there, but let's start with this potential Saudi deal. He's talking about getting to what he called this quantum leap. Netanyahu, of course, would have to give something up. Kaitlan pressed him on that. He wasn't going to give on it, but what would that be?
Right. To be sure, there is a lot of upside in a potential U.S. Israel-Saudi Arabia deal, but there's no way that's going to happen without some significant concessions on the Israeli side on the Palestinians. And as you saw, Kaitlan Collins pressed him very, very hard, and he wouldn't admit to even one that he would really consider, and that's a big problem. And you know, you have to again match that with what you see on the ground, which is that Netanyahu's far-right coalition is expanding settlements, and those settlers are perpetrating violence on Palestinians, and that doesn't really create the conditions for a real good deal that makes the Palestinians feel that they're getting something. So,
and that's not just a matter of him keeping his powder dry and keeping it behind
to be
closed
sure,
doors.
there's an element of negotiation, but everybody knows what the gaps are on the uranium enrichment that Kaitlan pointed out, on the Palestinian issue. There are a lot of them, and he was pretty clear. He didn't say it outright, but he was pretty clear that he doesn't want Saudi Arabia to have uranium enrichment. Well, how's MBS going to deal with that? So it's really easy to get to this stage. To get to the deal is going to be really hard. I think they all have a political incentive, actually, to talk about this. It distracts from the things that are going on at home for both Netanyahu and MBS. It keeps Biden in the box a little bit. It's hard for him to criticize those two guys while they're dealing.
You think it's just a big shiny thing?
I think there could be a situation, and I hope this is not true, where they dangle this in front of Biden, and then as the election gets closer, here comes President Trump, their friend, their buddy, the one that that MBS is giving $2 billion to his son-in-law, the one that Prime Minister Netanyahu clearly prefers. And if you get closer to that election, if you were those two guys, would you give this huge win to President Biden, or would you wait to see? Maybe Trump's going to come back. And so I think the closer we get to the election, actually, the harder the deal is to get, frankly.
He did dangle it, and they spoke about it. Here's what Biden and Netanyahu said.
If you and I, 10 years ago, were talking about normalization with Saudi Arabia, and I think we'd look at each other like, who's been drinking what? But we're
Good Irish whiskey.
Interesting moment. But when you see the protests that have been happening in Israel over his judicial reforms, did answers that he gave to Kaitlan give you any reason to think he's listening to the concerns of his people, that he's listening to leaders like President Biden that on this issue that they're so concerned about?
He's clearly listening, and he clearly doesn't care about those concerns. He's clearly rejecting those concerns and doubling down on his plans, and there's no sign that he's going to slow down. Now, I think, to be honest, what the White House is pushing for is for the Netanyahu coalition to reach a consensus with the opposition where they can move past this. I think that's a worthy goal, actually. I think there's a possibility that that could happen. But based on the answers that he gave to Kaitlan, and she pressed him pretty hard, very hard, actually, no, he didn't show any give at all. And in fact, the signal you would have to get from that interview is that they're going to go full speed ahead, and it makes sense from a domestic position why they would do that, because now is when they have the chance to do it. So I think that, again, improving U.S.-Israel relations is necessarily a good thing, but it's not going to change Biden's idea that Netanyahu is a threat to democracy in Israel, and it's not going to change Netanyahu's idea that Biden is a threat to his political standing. And that's those two old gentlemen who have known each other for 50 years. They like each other, but they're fundamentally opposed, and that's not going to change.
Yeah, we definitely saw that. Josh, thank you. Great to have you. And to the